Yo, what's good YouTube? It's your boy Dazzling Reactions back with another video, and in today's video we got Jimmy High Roller. There may never be another GOAT. Now what's he mean by that? You gotta check out the video.
Is an NBA championship worth?
After 53 years, the Knicks are finally NBA champions once again.
A ring is a ring, but intuitively, we as fans know that not all rings hold the same value. I ask this question because 2 weeks ago, the New York Knicks did what many doubted they could, and they didn't just win the NBA Finals, they completely dominated in the finals on the
That's facts. They dominated the Spurs.
over half a century.
That's
While
facts.
fans celebrated and the city of New York rejoiced in their rise back to glory, there was one reaction
And
to
yeah,
this
what's crazy is that
success
people were shitting on the Knicks, talking about
NBA.
they're not a championship contender and they can't, Jalen Brunson can't be a #1 option on a championship team. Now they don't want to apologize for the statements they made. I see how it is. I see how it is.
Boston is thinking about trading Jaylen Brown. They don't believe in their one championship. LeBron's one championship in LA was not enough. So why would it be enough for us?
Validate is the Larry O'Brien that I put on that shelf that stays there forever. That's validation. The Laker thing.
Oh, you mean participation trophy then?
I'm sorry, Larry O'Brien is a participation
That's,
trophy.
if everybody gets one.
Yes, you heard that correctly.
Oh, come on. What's with the ads, man? Trying to react to a video here.
If everybody gets one.
Yes, you heard that correctly. The pinnacle of the sport, the ultimate goal every basketball player sets to achieve from the first time they ever lace up is nothing but a participation trophy. This, my
Oh, yeah,
friends,
bro.
is a symptom of
That was the
real culture.
stupidest
When
comment I've
nothing
ever
matters
heard.
but hoisting
Him
the
saying that
trophy at the end
since
of the
there's
season,
different
that
champions
is
every
the
year,
valid
that now the NBA
NBA
championship is a
was.
participation
But
trophy.
ring
I'm just like, bro,
culture
what are you
does
talking about,
one
bro?
key thing. Not all rings
Doesn't that just
are
make
created
it
equal.
that the league is harder now because there's not repeat champions every year? That the league is harder? Isn't that what that means? That the league is harder now. That every team, this is a different team winning a championship every year, and it's not repeat champions. That it's harder to win a championship in today's era than it was back then. That's what I feel like it is. But you guys let me know in the comments.
Universally regarded as greater than Durant's two, and this same logic can be applied in different circumstances, even across eras. Which player is greater, the guy with 11 rings or the guy with 6? Probably the player who has
The guy with 6. And then Michael Jordan against Bill Russell. Come on, Bill Russell played against like plumbers and electricians and you know, tire what you call them? The people that fix tires. I don't know what you call them, but yeah, he played against those guys.
Is actually greater than 11. But can this
Janitors,
exact logic be
I could go
applied
on.
to
Those
today's
are the competition that Bill Russell played against.
of the league makes it clear that Jordan 6 is
I just think the era has gotten harder. Like today's era is way harder than the 90s, way harder than the 80s, way harder than the early 2000s. So it's harder to win a championship now. And that's why we have repeat different champions every year. We don't have repeat champions. I just think the league is harder. That's all.
to the same conversation.
It's not a participation trophy. Like what?
Generation of basketball.
Bro, I heard that comment. I'm like, bro, what is he talking about?
The more this idea feels like a reality.
What is Brody saying?
How much is a championship actually worth? Today's video is
Alright, bro. Jimmy High Roller. Stop with the ads, bro. I'm not trying to watch no ads. I came here to watch the video. Jesus. Skip all this. What is this? Skip. I don't care. I
think winning
God damn.
a guy winning 3 rings now in the 2020s with especially the second apron stuff, I think it would be even in a weird way more impressive because everybody's better at putting together a team, and we also have more high-end talent, right? Giannis has only won 1 title too.
If Jokic wins 1 title and that's it, he's going to be the ultimate sort of barometer for this because the statistics are going to say he's a top whatever single-digit player of all time
I think the big thing to remember when you talk about this stuff is what era was the guy in, how good was the league, how competitive it was, right? And I just wonder, like, is it just everybody's going to win one or two now going forward?
Ring culture has been a highly debated topic for a while now. The idea that rings are not just a measure of a player's greatness, but the only measure of a player's greatness. For as long as fans have been
it's the ring
rings
culture.
have reigned supreme in measuring a player's dominance. In spite of everything a player does throughout his career,
Oh, yeah.
winning or not
AI,
winning
Chris
a
Paul,
championship will be the final verdict
who else didn't win a
of
ring?
his abilities. It
Yeah.
is the ultimate barometer of how great
The people that didn't win a
is
ring that were like
and
great.
was.
Yeah, Jimmy Butler, AI,
If
Chris
that
Paul,
barometer breaks.
James Harden. You know, the list goes on. Of people who didn't win a championship. Doesn't make them any less great. They're still great. It's just that the circumstances, man, circumstances. AI had to face. He had to face the 2001 Lakers in the finals. James Harden had to face the 2017, 2018, 2016 Golden State Warriors every year in the playoffs. He had to go past them or try to go through them in order to try to win a championship, and that wasn't going to happen. And Jimmy Butler had to go through the 2020 Lakers, the 2023 Nuggets. Like, he had to go through a lot to try to win a championship, and it just didn't happen. So, circumstances.
Than it ever has before. Of course, this was not always the case in the NBA. Here's a timeline of players who had the most rings in the NBA in any given season, dating back to 1969 when Bill Russell won his 11th championship, a record that still holds up today and will more than likely hold up until the end of time. But similar to today, the 70s were also a time of growing parity in the NBA. 7 different teams won a championship over the course of the decade, and so going into the 80s, the active leader in rings had just 3. But it didn't take long for that total to grow again. By the mid-80s, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar held the crown before he ended the decade with 6 championships under his belt and passed the torch to Magic, who had 5. Shortly after, the Chicago Bulls took over the lead, and it was Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen who had the most championships of any active players, clear up until the early 2000s. By 2005, the crown swapped heads between Shaq, Kobe, and Duncan up until 2016, when both Kobe and Duncan retired, and Tony Parker held the crown for a few seasons before retiring and LeBron winning his 4th championship in 2020. A couple years later, the Warriors won a ring in 2022, and since then, nothing has changed. Which leads us to where we are today, where among Hall of Famers and all-time greats, the active players with the most rings in the league today are LeBron, Steph, Klay, and Draymond, each with 4. But what happens when these players are gone? Soon enough, these guys will retire, and the next group of players will take the mantle as the league's legacy players. Jokic, Giannis, Luka, Shea, Tatum, all of these players with either 0 or just 1 ring. Now, we don't know how the next decade of basketball will play out. 1 or 2 of these players could go on a tear and win 2, 3 rings. But if the past 8 seasons is any indication of what's to come, even the greatest players in the league today may struggle to win more than 1 championship throughout the course of their entire career, which, according to ring culture, disqualifies them from being included among the true all-time greats of the sport. Are these current players simply not as great as those that came before them? Or are we misinterpreting the value of a championship altogether?
Oh my god, another ad, bro. My honest opinion, I just think the league has got harder. That's what it is.
Value of a championship.
I think the league has got harder, so it gets harder to repeat as champion every fucking year. That's just what it is. It's not no damn participation trophy. Come on, man. Whoever said that, I don't even know the insider who said that or whoever his name is, but bro, come on, bro. The league has just gotten harder. It's harder to win championship. It's harder to repeat as champions. The last repeat champion in our era was probably the Golden State Warriors. Like, I think that was the last one. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I think that was the last one. But yeah.
7 championships in his 16-year career, and he hit some of the biggest shots in playoff history, thus giving him the nickname Big Shot Bob. And he said this to Tracy McGrady, who of course never won a ring. And by ring culture standards, this is a perfectly normal and applicable thing for Mr. 7 Rings to say to Mr. 0 Rings. There's only one problem. Robert Horry averaged 8 points a game in the playoffs, was not the driving force behind those rings, and only even started in 2 of those
this is actually a perfect example, to be honest. So they said Robert Horry has like 7 rings. So,
This is the effect
Robert Horry
ring
has
culture
7
has
rings,
on
right?
basketball.
Tracy McGrady has 0, right?
I think Charles Barkley
Does that
is an
make Robert
absolute
Horry
slouch.
any more greater than Tracy McGrady? Does that make him better all time than Tracy McGrady? No, because Robert Horry was a role player in those championship ring years that he won. He wasn't the main guy. He wasn't the 1 option. He wasn't number 2 option. He wasn't number 3 option. Wasn't even number 4 option. He was just a role player who played his role. Tracy McGrady had to carry a team. He had to carry the Orlando Magic, who was number 1 option. He had to carry the Houston Rockets, was number 1 option. He was always number 1 option on the team that he's been in. Like, there's a difference. Tracy McGrady is better than Robert Horry. Robert Horry is not better than Tracy McGrady just because he has 7 rings. That's what the ring culture is getting wrong sometimes. Like, it doesn't make it any more greater, to be honest.
Remember Nikola Jokic if he only retires with 1? How will we remember Giannis Antetokounmpo if he only retires with 1? Or Luka Doncic if or when he gets to that point? At this rate, will anyone ever get within reach of GOAT status? And is this era of parity really just an era? Or is this just the new standard for the NBA and what's to come in the future?
From Dustin Nielsen, why is ring culture so much more prevalent in the NBA than in other sports?
I don't know why it's discussed so much in our sport and why it's the AL, BL.
LeBron James?
Like, okay. Or if you won, then you can't be in the same conversation with this person. It's
But
like,
that's a great point because what you're saying is like, no matter what you have, you need more. No matter what.
Right.
No matter what, it can never end.
yeah, a ring is a team accomplishment.
Right. We gotta be careful.
Steve Nash, perfect example of a guy who didn't win a ring. That's another guy who didn't win a ring.
Accomplishment or a
You know what I'm saying?
Because these are the best.
But he's still a great player. He's still one of the best all time. Doesn't change that.
Do you have you?
But people look at Steve Nash, look at the fact that he has no rings, and be like, oh, he wasn't that good of a player. Like, what? No, he was a good player.
This
Just was unfortunate,
take on
that's
the
all.
ring culture
Circumstances.
last summer on a podcast with Steve Nash.
Because you gotta remember, winning the ring, it has to do with your team too. Your team has to be good. If your team is not good, you ain't winning a ring, bro. Doesn't matter how great of a player you are. You're not winning a ring.
And I'm sure the reactions in response to LeBron's stance are just as reasonable and rational as his was.
Factually incorrect. I'm just saying, he took individual credit.
Actually, people lost their minds, still clinging to the idea that rings are, in fact, the defining factor of a player's legacy. But if we don't know how to measure a player's greatness, and neither does LeBron, then maybe Michael Jordan himself might have some answers.
You're never gonna say he's the greatest of all time. To me, I think that's more for PR and more for selling stories and getting hype. Jack and Tiger never played against each other. They never played in the same tournament. They never played with the same equipment. They never played with the same, length of golf course. I never played against Will Chamberlain. I never played against, Jerry West. To now say that, one's greater than the other is being a little bit, unfair. Yeah, Jack probably had 18 majors, and Tiger's got 14. And I think those are when, that's how people are judging certain things. I won 6 championships. Bill Russell won 11. Does that make Bill Russell better than me and make me better than him? No, because we play at different eras. So when you try to equate who's the greatest of all time, it's an unfair parallel. It's an unfair choice.
What Michael is alluding to is precisely the flaw with using rings as a measuring stick for greatness. Ring culture tends to ignore context.
Ring culture has gotten too toxic in
The
my
team had to
opinion.
go through the fashion in which they won it, when in reality, it is the context itself that is the true measure of a player's game. Steph Curry is the greatest shooter of all time and arguably the greatest point guard of all time, and he's got 4 rings to prove it. But even for a player of his caliber, getting to 4 took an extremely unlikely set of circumstances to pull off. It took one of the greatest players of all time in his prime joining their 73-win team, as
Yep.
well as a historic
Yep,
salary
and still the
cap
most
space
weakest move in
that
NBA history.
to create the
Kevin Durant joining the Warriors
on their
after
championship roster.
they lost to the Warriors the previous year and blew a 3-1 lead. Still the weakest move in NBA history. KD is really a snake. I would never like KD. I'm not a fan of KD for that move. And that's why I would never like him. Honestly, weakest move in NBA history. Moving to a team the next year after you blew a 3-1 lead. What more of a weak move can you do, bro? And then I remember he was like on a podcast. It was like recently. He was on a podcast recently, and he was talking about when I joined the Warriors, I thought they were an underdog. What? Nigga, they won a championship in 2015, and they made it to the finals in 2016. Like, what are you talking about? When you joined the Warriors, you thought they were an underdog. Like, bro, KD, bro. The more you talk, bro, the more you just tarnish your legacy, in my opinion, bro. Just be quiet, bro. Just be quiet.
I think
please.
dynasty is better for the sport because we're going to look at the way that the NBA experienced its golden age. Those 2 decades where it went from Magic and Bird and Isaiah in between to Michael Jordan. That's where you had the greatest explosion and growth. And it's not just because those guys hoarded the championships. Now you're legislating parity. The owners are saying you aren't allowed to be great for an extended period of time because look at Oklahoma City with Durant and Westbrook and Harden. They weren't allowed to keep their 3 guys together because the money says, okay, you drafted too well. You drafted 3 MVPs. You can't hold on to them.
The game was tied.
Oh my God, another ad, bro. Come on, bro, stop with these advertisements, please.
Because the money says, okay, you drafted too well. You drafted 3 MVPs. You can't hold on to them.
Through a combination of smarter teams, better front offices, advanced analytics, deeper rosters, larger talent pools including international players, and rules set in place explicitly designed to prevent teams from building dynasties, it is harder now, or at least as I've said before,
yep.
it is more equitable.
It's harder now to build a dynasty because of cap space. Because of cap space. Now it's going to be hard to see a repeat champion again, to be honest.
To multiple titles among this generation of great players. But we have evidence that what we are seeing now is only the beginning of what's to come. 2 years ago, the NBA introduced the second apron.
Yep, second apron, cap space, CPA, all that.
Bargaining agreement that has since made it virtually impossible for teams to build a great roster and keep that roster intact. Due to a laundry list of financial penalties and restrictions, in today's NBA, winning a championship is as difficult as it's ever been, and winning another one has become, at least to this point, an insurmountable task. In today's league, KD signing with the Warriors wouldn't even be possible. LeBron building a team in Miami wouldn't and couldn't happen. Running it back with the same proven core year after year isn't even feasible. If a prime LeBron or Steph or MJ were attempting to make real championship runs in today's league, in spite of their talents, the odds would be stacked against them, and the path would be more difficult than it was 10, 15, 30 years ago.
That's what I said. The path is more difficult now to be repeat champions and win back-to-back championships now because of, first of all, the league is harder. I already said that. But because of second apron, cap space, all that, it's hard to build a dynasty and it's hard to win back-to-back championships when the league has gotten harder. Now we have cap space, now we have aprons, second aprons and all that stuff. It's harder to win a championship today, and the league is harder today than it was in the 90s, than it was in the 2000s. I said this, bro. Come on, bro. I know. You know what I'm saying? It's not no damn participation trophy. It's just harder to win a championship now than it was like 15 years ago. That's what it is, bro.
Teams continue to adapt to rules specifically made to prevent historic runs and dynasty contenders. If becoming the GOAT requires a player to match Jordan's 6 rings, or match LeBron's 4 for that matter, then fans of the NBA may need to once again reevaluate what a ring is truly worth within the context of when it was won. If winning only one championship, or even worse, winning none at all, makes a player or a title run invalid, then we are dangerously close to disregarding an entire generation of players in the NBA. How much is an NBA championship worth? Well, if 30 years of evolution is the difference between Jordan's 6 matching Russell's 11, then maybe the last 30 years of the league's evolution is the difference between 2 or 3 today, matching Jordan's 6.
And now we'll do it for this video, man. Shout out Jimmy High Roller, man. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, hit that post notification bells. Road to 500 subscribers, and thank you guys for the love. Thank you, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.